In my past life, my best friend started an entertainment company. She signed me as a food influencer. She tricked me into signing a shady contract where, for every live stream, I had to eat 10 pounds of fatty pork, 5 pounds of pork knuckles, and 3 pounds of insanely spicy enoki mushrooms. In 6 months, my weight ballooned to 500 pounds. Even on my deathbed, my so-called best friend was still forcing me to eat. I died in the hospital from total organ failure. My soul floated in the air. I watched as my best friend and my boyfriend lived a life of luxury, paid for with my life. When my parents tried to get justice for me, she had them beaten so badly they were paralyzed and bedridden. Then time rewound, and my soul was pulled back. 1. Mia, come on, answer me. This is my first time starting a company, and I want you to be the very first streamer I sign. I'll give you all the best resources, I promise. My eyes shot open. Rainie's hand was still tugging at mine, her eyes glinting with a predatory light. When she saw I wasn't responding, she shook my hand back and forth, trying to act cute. Just say yes. You're already a pretty popular streamer. If you sign with me, I'll make you a superstar, a huge influencer. I looked down at the contract on the table, and a chill ran down my spine. In my last life, Rainie started an entertainment company to sign streamers. When she asked me to sign with her back then, I was thrilled and agreed immediately, dreaming of the day I'd become a big star. I never imagined it would be a trap. She gave me a two-faced contract. At the time, I had no idea it was her doing. When I found out about the fraudulent contract and confronted her, she burst into tears, crying and begging, swearing she knew nothing about it. The contract was only for 1 year. Seeing how pathetic she looked, and because she was my best friend, I let it go. It wasn't until the day of my first stream that I found out the truth. The stream required me to eat 10 pounds of fatty pork, 5 pounds of pork knuckles, and 3 pounds of insanely spicy enoki mushrooms. In 6 months, my weight ballooned to 500 pounds. Even on my deathbed, my so-called best friend was still forcing me to eat. I died in the hospital from total organ failure. My soul floated in the air. I watched as my best friend and my boyfriend lived a life of luxury, paid for with my life. When my parents tried to get justice for me, she had them beaten so badly they were paralyzed and bedridden. Then time rewound and my soul was pulled back. 1. Mia, come on, answer me. This is my first time starting a company, and I want you to be the very first streamer I sign. I'll give you all the best resources, I promise. My eyes shot open. Rainie's hand was still tugging at mine, her eyes glinting with a predatory light. When she saw I wasn't responding, she shook my hand back and forth, trying to act cute. Just say yes. You're already a pretty popular streamer. If you sign with me, I'll make you a superstar, a huge influencer. I looked down at the contract on the table, and a chill ran down my spine. In my last life, Rainie started an entertainment company to sign streamers. When she asked me to sign with her back then, I was thrilled and agreed immediately, dreaming of the day I'd become a big star. I never imagined it would be a trap. She gave me a two-faced contract. At the time, I had no idea it was her doing. When I found out about the fraudulent contract and confronted her, she burst into tears, crying and begging, swearing she knew nothing about it. The contract was only for 1 year. Seeing how pathetic she looked, and because she was my best friend, I let it go. It wasn't until the day of my first stream that I found out the truth. The stream required me to eat 10 pounds. There were even huge thugs in the room holding tasers. If I didn't eat fast enough, they'd shut off the stream and give me a brutal beating. I couldn't stand the beatings, so I had no choice but to keep stuffing my face. I tried to break the contract with Rainie. She just sat there, head down, admiring her manicure while I stood before her covered in bruises. I want out. She just smirked and had me beaten half to death. Then she personally stayed in the room to watch me stream. In just 6 months, I went from 90 pounds to 500. The obesity caused all sorts of health problems. Even when I was in the hospital, my best friend was still forcing me to stream. In the end, I died of total organ failure. My soul floated above, watching the man I loved living lavishly with Rainie. My consciousness snapped back to the present. My face went cold, and I pulled my hand away. I'm not interested in signing with any company. You should find someone else. This time, I just wanted to live a happy life with my parents. I wanted nothing to do with Rainy ever again. Rainy's expression instantly darkened. What did you say? Her voice shot up, her eyes blazing with anger. I'm giving you an easy way out. Don't be an idiot. I wasn't surprised at all by her sudden change. She'd been born with a silver spoon in her mouth. No one had ever defied her, and I was no exception. Rainy, what you should be doing is signing some big-name streamers to build up hype. I'm just a small-time streamer right now. I'm no use to you. I pulled out my phone to show her some examples online. Rainy snatched the phone out of my hand. The more she looked, the more excited she got. In her excitement, she threw my phone on the ground, shattering it. I knew perfectly well that none of those big streamers would ever work with Rainy. The most important thing for me right now was to get away from her. Looking around the now empty room, I finally felt a sense of relief. But I hadn't even had a moment to enjoy the thrill of being reborn. My phone rang. It was my boyfriend. I answered. His accusatory voice immediately filled my ear. What kind of stupid idea did you give her? Rainy went and met all those big influencers, and they just cussed her out. You need to get over here right now, apologize to Rainy, and sign that contract. It was obvious now. In my past life, my boyfriend, Ken, had been involved with Rainy all along. I just never saw it. Every time the three of us went out, Ken was always fussing over Rainy's health. When Rainy got sick, Ken was always the most anxious one. Back then, I just thought they were being normal friends. I never gave it a second thought. I didn't respond to what Ken said. I just stated flatly, we're breaking up. Ken exploded on the other end of the line. Are you crazy? You want to break up with me? I hung up. I blocked his number and deleted his contact. I had something more important to do now. Go home. 2. The moment I stepped through the door of my parents' house, a long-lost sense of security washed over me. My parents saw me standing in the doorway. They rushed over to greet me. Mom took my coat, and Dad took my bag. Looking at them, I thought about what had happened to them in my last life. My eyes turned red, and tears started streaming down my face. My parents immediately pulled me into a hug. Honey, what is it? What are you crying for? My mom frantically wiped my tears. Did someone bully you? Don't cry. I'll have your dad stand up for you. My dad nodded vigorously beside her. I forced a smile. I just missed you guys so much. After graduating, I'd been living in Austin for Rainy and Ken. I rarely ever came home. I don't want to leave home again, I sobbed. I don't want to go back to Austin. My parents quickly nodded. Oh, okay. If you don't want to go to Austin, you can stay home. After dinner, I snuggled up with my mom on the couch to watch TV. I didn't go back to my room until I was about to fall asleep. For 3 straight days, I stayed at home. I never expected Ken and Rainy to find me here. I was coming back from the grocery store when I saw the two of them sitting on my living room couch. I froze. My mom's eyes were red and swollen, and she was holding a tissue. Rainy was leaning against my mom, sobbing into her shoulder. Hearing me come in, Rainy turned to look at me, tears streaming down her face. Mia, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have stormed off like that the other day. Please, will you sign with me? I was just being impulsive. I came all this way to find you. Please come back with me, okay? I knew exactly what was going on. All the influencers she approached could tell her contract was shady. Nobody would sign with her. She had no choice but to come back to me. Seeing that I wasn't reacting, Rainy walked right up to me, hugged me, and started to bend her knees as if to kneel. I just stood there, watching her motionless. Seeing Rainy's pitiful act, Ken rushed over and pulled her into his arms. Mia, don't take it too far. Rainy's about to kneel for you. Just sign the damn contract already. He held the contract out to me. In front of everyone, I tore it into tiny pieces. When Rainy saw what I did, she raised her hand to slap me. I slapped her hand away. I told you, I'm not signing. Seeing my firm stance, Rainy threw herself on the floor. Mia, you promised we'd build a beautiful life together. How can you treat me like this now? My parents were stunned, standing frozen in place. My mom came over to me. She gently tugged at my sleeve. Mia, she pleaded, Rainy doesn't look like she's lying. You two have known each other for so long. You know her inside and out. Just agree and sign it. Look how miserable the poor girl is. Yeah, that's right. You were college classmates and best friends, my dad chimed in. They had no idea what kind of person Rainey really was. Everyone in the room was staring at me. 3. I threw my hands up and collapsed onto the floor. I dropped to my knees with a thud. Rainey was an unreasonable person. The only way to deal with someone like that was to give her a taste of her own medicine. I started wailing, pounding the floor as I cried. You're my best friend. I just wanted to come home and spend some time with my parents. You should understand me. I just want a different kind of life. Tears and snot streamed down my face. The look on Rainey's face was priceless. She didn't know whether to keep crying or stop. Seeing me so heartbroken, my parents rushed to help me up and held me in their arms. Rainey, honey, maybe you should go. Are Mia isn't going back with you? Ken spoke up. No way. Auntie, that's not what you said a minute ago. She has to come back with us. Rainey grabbed Ken's arm and wiped away her tears. Since Mia doesn't want to come back with me, let us just leave it. We'll go now. Watching Ken leave with Rainey, my parents looked at me confused. What's going on with you and Ken? What's with that kid's attitude? He just left with Rainey, and he was so rude just now. I took my parents' hands and sat them down on the couch. I told them about breaking up with Ken, and about the shady contract Rainey wanted me to sign. After hearing the story, my dad slammed his hand on the table. They're horrible. Thank goodness our Mia didn't agree. From now on, we're not letting them in this house again. They were both terrified by what could have happened and gave me a long lecture. I thought that was the end of it. On my way home from work a few days later, I saw a crowd gathered at the entrance to my apartment building. I got closer and saw it was Ken, holding a giant banner. He was shouting, Mia from apartment 301 in building 12 is a heartless cheater who uses people and throws them away. That's Mia, right in this building. He pointed at the entrance, spit flying from his mouth as he delivered his speech with intense focus. I spotted Rainey hiding under the eaves of a nearby building. Ken's throat was dry from all the yelling. He grabbed a thermos next to him and took a drink. Everyone, you need to see this woman for who she is. She is shameless. She used to be the top girl at some sleazy club. An elderly woman couldn't stand it anymore and pointed at Ken. Young man, you need proof to say things like that. I know Mia. She is a very nice girl. Hearing this only egged Ken on. You can't judge a book by its cover. The Mia you know is just an act. I'm her ex-boyfriend. I know what this woman is really like. As he said this, Ken put on a tragic expression, trying to look like the victim. Ma'am, let me tell you, he continued. Mia dumped me because she found some other rich guy. After saying this, he melodramatically clutched his chest. I couldn't listen to any more of it. I snuck away from the back. I got home without anyone noticing me. As soon as I opened the door, I saw my parents looking at me with anxious faces. Mia, you need to tell us straight. What is going on with you and Ken? I took a deep breath. Mom, Dad, do you trust me? My parents looked at me with sincere expressions. They nodded forcefully. I never did any of the things Ken is saying. I'm going to go give him a piece of my mind. I stopped my parents as they tried to head out the door. I walked straight into the kitchen. I grabbed the big mixing bowl we always used. I took the wasabi and chili powder from the fridge and mixed them together. I added some water. Carrying the bowl, I swaggered downstairs. The moment Ken saw me, he opened his mouth to speak. I hurled the contents of the bowl at his face. The mixture of chili powder and wasabi hit him full on. He clutched his face and screamed in pain. Ah! His eyes instantly swelled shut. Mia, you crazy bitch. What did you throw at me? Ken couldn't see where I was, pointing blindly into the air behind me and screaming. The crowd of onlookers burst out laughing. Hearing the laughter, Ken was mortified. Mia, you think I won't call the cops on you? I'll have you thrown in jail. I clapped my hands. Great, call the cops. Let us both call them. I'll sue you for slander and defamation. Let us do it. Hearing this, he went silent. See? I told you Mia wasn't that kind of person. This kid is just making things up. Let us run him out of our neighborhood. Ken was kicked a few times. Blind, he stumbled into a tree several times. bruised and battered, he scrambled away in disgrace. I looked up and my eyes met Rainey's. I could see a vicious hatred in her gaze. The crowd dispersed, but I couldn't see Rainey anymore. When I got home, I had a persistent feeling of unease. Knowing Rainey's personality, when she wants something, she always gets it. I told my parents to be careful and not go out too much for a while. 4. After disappearing for a few days, I finally went live again today. My fans were as enthusiastic as ever. Hey everyone, I'm back. The vibe in the stream was great. I was having a nice chat with my fans. Suddenly, a huge wave of haters flooded the chat. This woman is a slut. Look at the dress she's wearing. She's obviously not a decent person. I looked down at myself. I was just wearing a simple floral sundress, nothing revealing at all. Just as I was about to fire back, my stream was suddenly shut down. And it was a permanent ban. I called customer service. The reason they gave was that a massive number of reports led to the termination of your channel. I hung up. Rainey's call came through immediately. Mia, I'm giving you one last chance. Get over here and sign this contract right now. Otherwise, you'll never make a penny from streaming again for the rest of your life. I laughed coldly. Not signing. Before Rainey could react, I hung up. I wasn't afraid of anything now. I didn't rely on social media for a living anyway. Streaming and making short videos were just hobbies. I'm a novelist, and I'm actually quite well known online. Rainey's threats meant nothing to me. On the other end, Rainey stared at the deadline on her phone. She was so angry she smashed her phone to pieces. Right now, none of the people she approached were willing to sign her contract. They take one look, walk away, and curse her out. All of Rainey's hopes were now pinned on me. She had signed a high-stakes bet with her father. If she could successfully sign a streamer and get their account to 500,000 followers, everything the family owned would be hers. She couldn't afford to lose. The price of failure was too high. Rainey never imagined that I would suddenly become so disobedient. Originally, she planned to handle this peacefully. But now, it seemed a little force was necessary. I had no way of knowing what Rainey was thinking. I went out for my usual morning run. About halfway through my run, a van suddenly appeared in front of me. Before I could dodge it, the van door slid open. A bag was thrown over my head. I struggled fiercely, but the kidnappers just shoved me into the van. My head slammed hard against the window. I smelled a strange, sweet scent, and then I passed out. When I woke up, I found myself tied to a chair on a rooftop. The railing behind me was rickety. I didn't dare move. When the wind blew, the railing creaked ominously. My heart was in my throat. I could only carefully wriggle against the ropes, trying to free myself. The door to the roof opened. Rainey and Ken appeared before me. Ken's eyes were swollen into tiny slits, he could barely open them. He glared at me viciously. Mia, I bet you didn't expect this. You're back in our hands now. If you don't sign, I'll push you off this roof and make sure there's nothing left of you. I didn't dare look back. There was nothing but open air behind me. If I fell, I'd be a smear on the pavement. Ken rubbed his hands together and walked toward me with a lecherous grin. He pushed aside the railing. He put his hands on my chair and pushed backward with all his might. I lost my balance, dangling over the edge. All Ken had to do was let go, and I would fall. Rainey walked up to me, holding the contract. She slapped my face with the papers. She hit me hard, and I flinched in pain. Mia, I'm giving you one last chance. Are you going to sign or not? I took a deep breath, my voice trembling slightly. I'll sign. 5. Seeing me give in, Ken pulled me back. He pushed my chair forward. Untie her, Rainey ordered. Ken acted like her little lapdog. Without any hesitation, he untied my ropes. I sat in the chair, the hand holding the pin trembling. I kept my head down, my eyes darting toward the rooftop door. From where I was, I'd have to be incredibly fast to make a run for it without being caught. Seeing that I still hadn't signed, Rainey slapped me across the face and glanced at the open door. Don't even think about pulling any tricks. If you don't sign today, I won't let you leave here alive. I gripped the pen tightly. I have one condition. Rainey looked at me impatiently. Spit it out. I want I threw the contract in Rainie's face. Then I ran faster than I ever had in my life, sprinting for the door. I slammed it shut and locked it from the outside. My heart was pounding in my chest now that I was safe. Rainie and Ken started banging on the door. Mia, you bitch. Open this door right now. There was no way I was opening that door. Instead, I called the police. I was still shaken when I got home. I never imagined that my mother would have an accident. After lying in bed for a while, I got a call from my father. His voice was old and choked with sobs. It was a sound I had never heard from him before. Your mother was in a car accident. Get to the hospital, now. I hailed a cab and rushed to the hospital. Outside the emergency room, my father was pacing back and forth. Dad, what happened? My dad's eyes immediately filled with tears. Today, your mom and I were out grocery shopping when a big truck suddenly came barreling toward us. Your mom pushed me out of the way. She took the hit. She's still unconscious, and we don't know when she'll wake up. I held my father steady, keeping him from falling. The doctor said the chances of her waking up aren't very high. It's all my fault. My father was so agitated that his breathing became ragged. I quickly helped him to a seat. What about the driver? My dad steadied his breathing. The driver admitted it was his fault, but he won't pay. He said he has no money, so they can take his life instead. Mia, if you sign the contract and join my company, I'll cover all of your auntie's medical bills. Before I could say anything, Rainie appeared from around the corner, interrupting me. I stood up and faced her. You did this. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Rainie smirked. So what if I did? Your family doesn't have the money. As long as you agree to sign, I'll transfer the money to you immediately. My dad struggled to get up. I gently patted his shoulder. I walked over to Rainie and slapped her hard across the face. Are you crazy? Rainie shrieked, her face dark and twisted with rage. Mia, how dare you hit me? Do you have any idea who I am? I don't care who you are. You don't touch my family. I yelled back at her. You're a lunatic. Rainie sneered. Mia, if you had just signed the contract earlier, none of this would have happened. Your family could empty their savings and still not be able to afford her medical bills. Just sign, and I promise I'll help you. I can even forget that you hit me. I slapped the contract out of her hand. The driver works for me. He won't sell me out, so even if you call the police, it won't do any good. Mia, you're in no position to refuse. Right now, I'm the only one who can save your mother. No one else has this kind of money. Rainie's eyes had a wild, crazed glint. It sent a chill down my spine. I've had my eye on you since the first day of college. Becoming your friend was all part of the plan. Mia, I can't lose. I have a brilliant idea. If you just sign this contract, we'll both win. I scoffed. Let me guess, you want me to stream myself eating 10 pounds of fatty pork, 5 pounds of pork knuckles, and 3 pounds of spicy enoki mushrooms every day? Rainie gasped. How did you know? Who told you? I clenched my fists and said word by word. Do you have any idea how much damage eating that stuff does to a person's body? Rainie shrugged nonchalantly. As long as I win, I don't care. Mia, you're the perfect choice. You'll help me win, won't you? I did what you said. I talked to lots of other influencers, but none of them were right. Only you. It has to be you. Her face began to contort. I won't do it. Rainie, give it up. Rainie screamed like a madwoman. Mia, you're sending your own mother to her grave. Just then, a nurse came to tell me it was time to pay the bill. $300,000. Rainie looked at me with a smug expression. I've been by your side for so many years. I know exactly how much money you have. You don't have. Rainie stared in shock as I pulled out my credit card. I'll pay with this card. When I came back from paying, Rainie was still frozen in the same position. I'd been earning my own money since college. I had more than $300,000. Rainie only knew a fraction of the truth. Not long after, the police arrived and took Rainie away. The entire time, Rainie looked like she was in a daze, as if her soul had left her body. 6. Rainie was released. The police investigation concluded that she had just been throwing a temper tantrum at home, smashing things. The driver had witnessed it. Because he had a crush on Rainie, he asked around to find out why she was so upset. When he learned it had something to do with me, He decided to mess up my life. He came up with the idea of staging a car accident. An accident that nearly cost my mother her life. I knew it was just a cover story, but I had no proof that Rainey was behind it. After the verdict was announced, my life gradually returned to normal. My mother's condition improved day by day, and she was moved to a regular ward. Meanwhile, Rainey, who had been in solitary confinement for 7 days, was kneeling in the family shrine, her face bruised and swollen. "You've caused so much trouble. It's a good thing the driver is one of our own," and took all the blame. A man slapped Rainey so hard she fell to the floor. She didn't dare hesitate, and immediately got back into a kneeling position. "Why haven't you found the test subject yet?" the man asked, every word laced with a bone-chilling coldness. Rainey trembled, kowtowing to the man. "Dad, I'll find a candidate. I promise I will," she pleaded, looking up at him with begging eyes. "Please don't make me be the one, okay?" Rainey kowtowed frantically to her father, Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang lifted his foot and kicked her hard in the shoulder. She fell to the ground, her shoulder aching so much she couldn't move. The only sound in the shrine was the clicking of the prayer beads in Mr. Zhang's hand. "You were the one who made that bet with me. If you successfully brought back a test subject, you would take over the family business. You asked to switch candidates before and I agreed. But what was the result? The result was nothing. If you can't bring one back." Mr. Zhang walked over to Rainey. He reached out and stroked her face, pressing on her bruises. Like a demon, he whispered, "Then you will be the test subject." Mr. Zhang patted Rainey's shoulder. "You have less than 12 hours. If you don't bring someone back in time, I'll have to bring you back instead." Rainey shuddered. Dragging her injured body, she walked out of the shrine. Qin was standing at the door and tried to help her. A single glare from Mr. Zhang made him freeze. "The same goes for you. If the test subject isn't brought back successfully, you'll join Rainey." Inside the shrine, Mr. Zhang gave Rainey and Qin a chilling smile. They both felt as if they were being stared down by a venomous snake. Qin took off his coat and draped it over Rainey's shoulders. "We have to find Mia. She has a soft touch. We'll go and beg her. Mia will definitely feel sorry for us. If she agrees, we're saved." The two of them were in complete agreement. I was at home cooking for my mother, completely unaware of their plans. I headed downstairs with the lunchbox I'd prepared. When I reached the bottom of the stairs, someone blocked my path and dropped to their knees in front of me with a thud. I stumbled backward, almost falling over. When I regained my balance, I saw that the people kneeling before me were familiar faces. Rainey and Qin were each clinging to one of my legs. "Mia, it was all my fault before." "No," Rainey said. "It was our fault. Please be the bigger person and forgive us, okay?" I tried to pry their hands off me, but they held on tight. "I'm not signing. Stop bothering me." Rainey started kowtowing to me. "Mia, for the sake of our many years of friendship, please, just help me this one time, okay?" Rainey looked up, her face full of hope. When her eyes met my cold gaze, her expression filled with despair. She suddenly went berserk. She pulled a knife from behind her back and lunged at me. I reacted instantly and dodged out of the way. The tip of the knife tore my sleeve. Qin grabbed Rainey by the shoulders. "Are you crazy? We came here to beg Mia for help." Rainey snapped back to her senses and looked at me. She dropped the knife and started slapping her own face. "I'm sorry, Mia, it's my fault. It's all my fault. If you'll just help me, I'll do anything." Rainey slapped herself mercilessly, like a form of self-torture. She didn't even react when her mouth started bleeding. Her face swelled up until it looked like a pig's head. Qin reached out and stopped her. He carefully shielded her behind him. "Just sign the contract, and everything will be fine. We won't hurt you." I shot Qin a sarcastic look. "You think I'd believe a word you say?" I knew what I would face if I signed that contract. I just didn't understand why they were so terrified this time around. Even though I hadn't signed. The sound of a car engine came from outside. Rainey's eyes filled with terror, and she became extremely tense. I looked toward the door with interest. When the men in black appeared, Rainey's lips had turned white. I could hear Qin swallowing hard. His lower lip was trembling as he spoke. "Why are you here? It's not time yet." The men in black didn't say a word. The leader walked up to Rainey. He reached for her. Rainey darted away like an eel. She quickly hid behind me. It was her. Her. Not me. Take her. Rainey screamed at the men in black. Suddenly, she shoved me toward them. My eyes met the lead man's gaze. It was chilling. I quickly backed away. This is your mess. I'm not getting involved. The men behind him moved forward and used force. Rainey and Ken were dragged away. Ken's legs gave out, and he collapsed on the floor. Rainey struggled like a madwoman. It was no use. As I watched the car speed away, I was completely baffled. 7. My mother's physical therapy was going well. She was recovering quickly. After that bizarre incident, Ken and Rainey never appeared in my life again. I had successfully appealed my channel's ban. I could now stream normally. After finishing a stream, I was bored and scrolling through videos. Suddenly, a viral livestream popped up on my screen. The title was Man vs. Woman, Who Can Eat the Most Fatty Pork? I clicked on it out of curiosity. I watched the two people in the stream frantically eating fatty pork. If it weren't for the name tags on their chests, I would never have recognized them as Rainey and Ken. The two of them sitting together barely fit in the frame. The weight displayed on the screen shocked me. Rainey, 347 pounds. Ken, 369 pounds. Rainey looked like she was about to vomit, but kept stuffing more pork into her mouth. People in the chat were cheering them on. Eat more. Faster. Go Kenny go. I'm rooting for you. My eyes fixed on the man standing behind Ken. He was dressed in casual clothes and looked completely nonchalant. But I remembered him. He was the one who had taken Rainey and Ken away. Ken's eating pace slowed down. The man looked up and cleared his throat softly. Ken immediately sped up, not daring to pause for a second. I found it very strange. In my last life, Rainey had tricked me into signing a shady contract, which led to everything that happened. In this life, Rainey was still the one running the company. How could she possibly put herself under a contract like that? The livestream didn't end until both of them physically couldn't eat anymore. For 3 straight days, the food they ate on stream was exactly the same as what I ate in my past life. Someone even made them feed each other. The stream had donations turned off. It was purely about eating. I frowned as I watched. Through my observations over the past few days, I realized the man sitting behind Ken was actually their overseer. Just like me in my past life, they were being monitored. If they slowed down even a little, the man would cough. I exited the live stream. I dialed the police. I'd like to report. The next day, when I went to check, the live stream channel had been shut down. A few days later, a major news story broke. The head of the Zhang family, Mr. Zhang, had been using live human subjects for experiments in his own villa. The reason was simple. He just wanted to study how fat a person could get before they died. Each test subject had a number. Those with names on their tags were responsible for eating, to see how much weight they could gain. Those without numbers were injected with a serum he had developed himself. The experiment was at a critical stage. When they arrested Mr. Zhang, he was yelling, "I need to conduct my experiment. You can't stop me." The news caused a massive sensation. The story was a top headline for a long time before it slowly died down. I saw the pictures of the girls online. I was deeply shaken. Reporters published the girls' weight changes. Some of them were already close to 500 pounds. I looked at the photos and tears streamed down my chin. Those pictures reminded me of what I had gone through in my last life. In my past life, I never knew that so many other girls were suffering the same inhuman treatment as me. Thank goodness they were all rescued this time. Ken and Rainey's names were also on the list of those rescued. But from beginning to end, neither of them ever appeared publicly. For my help in reporting the crime, I even received a commendation flag from the police department. Later, I found out that after Ken and Rainey were rescued, they developed serious health problems. They couldn't sleep well at night. They had trouble breathing. Even worse, their weight continued to increase even when they didn't eat. Doctors at major hospitals were completely baffled. Ken couldn't bear the torment any longer. He went to the hospital rooftop and committed suicide. At that moment, Rainey was taking a walk in the hospital garden. She witnessed Ken's brains splatter on the ground. The shock was too much for her to handle. Rainy completely lost her mind and became a raving lunatic. All I can say is they brought all of this on themselves. End of story 1. Story 2. While on a cruise, a tourist from Japan performed the parade of 100 demons for us. Everyone praised his masterful magic tricks, but no one knew that the ghosts were all real. He used these ghosts to extort the other passengers, so I gave him a hard slap across the face. In Chinese territory, foreign spirits are forbidden. Didn't he know that I was the last of the geomancers? 1. In the luxurious ballroom, my friend Lin and I were filling our plates at the buffet, when a young man with gold-rimmed glasses and slicked back hair suddenly squeezed in next to me. You two bought your tickets, right? As soon as he said it, the people around us turned to stare. The young man then deliberately lowered his voice. Don't worry, I'll keep your secret. My name is Soda, a Japanese Chinese. Let us be friends? Soda casually placed a container of caviar on my plate, winking at me as he spoke. Want to come to my room later for a bit? The people nearby immediately started exchanging suggestive glances. I told you this ship was full of gold diggers. I knew there was something off about those two the moment they boarded. Everyone else is in formal wear, but look at them sweatpants and sneakers. Trying to pull off the innocent college student look, I guess. Exactly. The charity organization needs to be more selective. I'll suggest to the chairman next time that they stop letting in just any riff-raff. I'd been hearing comments like this for days. My ears were starting to go numb. My name is Quinn, and I'm a junior at South River University. I'm also the world's only living geomancer. The term geomancer originally referred to feng shui masters, but later it came to specifically mean masters who could read the stars. As the saying goes, first-rate masters read the stars, second-rate masters find the water's mouth, and third-rate masters are a dime a dozen. Most of the practitioners today are ordinary feng shui consultants. Those who mastered the art of astrology used to serve in the Imperial Astronomy Bureau, working for the emperor. My family, the Qiaos, served as the head of that bureau for generations and were the hereditary leaders of the feng shui sect. This time, I was invited by the Summit Foundation to join a cruise from Hong Kong to Egypt. The Summit Foundation is a top-tier global charity that organizes an annual cruise for its most generous patrons, billionaires and celebrities who have made significant contributions to philanthropy. Each invitee can bring one guest. Only 600 invitations were sent out for the entire Asian region, with another 100 tickets sold privately. Since the journey is about 20 days long, it's a great opportunity for networking and building relationships. And since every guest on board is, at a minimum, a multi-millionaire, those 100 tickets became a golden opportunity for many to marry into wealth. Lin and I were automatically lumped into that category. 2. Seeing that we weren't paying him any attention, Soda didn't get angry. He just kept smiling. Taro Yamada is performing a magic show tonight. He is a very famous on Myoji in Japan. I'll take you to see it. Lin's eyes lit up. A magic show? I love magic shows. Quinn, let us go. Magic show? What village did they crawl out of? The people nearby laughed even harder. Lin and I put down our plates and rushed to the stage to get good seats. The cruise ship had its own orchestra and dance troupe, with nightly performances and even renowned conductors. Unfortunately, we were two pigs who couldn't appreciate pearls. We had no interest in high art, but a magic show? That sounded fun. By the time Lin and I got to the stage, the first few rows were already full. On stage, Taro Yamada was unrolling a scroll for the audience. This is an Onmaraki, the spirit of an old man who died with great resentment. His eyes can glow, and from his mouth, he can breathe blue fire. As he finished, a large ball of blue flame erupted from the scroll, nearly scorching the front row audience. The crowd burst into applause. Soda stood next to us, smiling smugly. Amazing, right? I've seen all of Master Yamada's shows, and I can never find a single flaw. But Lin and I couldn't smile, because a dark energy was swirling on the scroll. That ghost was real. Yamada showed off a few more ghosts, then invited an audience member on stage to participate. Soda immediately shot his hand up enthusiastically. Mr. Yamada. Pick me. All right, let us welcome this gentleman to the stage. Yamada rolled up the scroll and picked up a gourd from a nearby table. Sir, have you ever heard of the Hayakum? Shotanudda. I know. It's a demon covered in eyes that loves to steal things. Oh, you mean covered in eyes like this? As Yamada spoke, he slowly ran his hand over Soda's arm. The next second, 7 or 8 eyes suddenly sprouted on Soda's forearm, each one darting around. A collective gasp came from the audience. Soda screamed with excitement. Oh my God! It looks so real. Mr. Yamada, you're incredible. 3. Lin and I exchanged a look of pure cringe. This idiot is actually enjoying himself. Yeah. He just got possessed by a Hayakum. He's going to have a kleptomania problem for the next year. Can't wait to see him get arrested. Lin looked at the energetic Yamada on stage and sighed with envy. Quinn, if you ever go broke, you can always perform your thunder palm or burn talismans with your bare hands. It won't come to that. A simple exorcism or ritual makes me more money than this. I never thought Onmyoji in Japan were so down on their luck. I commented casually, assuming Yamada was just using these ghosts to make a living. But I was clearly too naive. After Soda returned to his seat, Yamada suddenly looked at Lin. This beautiful young lady. Would you mind joining me on stage for my next act? Lin quickly waved her hands to refuse. She was the holy maiden of the Miao Gu clan, and she carried the golden cicada goo in her body. Ordinary ghosts couldn't possess her. It wouldn't be good to ruin his show. But Yamada was insistent and even sent his assistant to invite her. The audience started to boo. What's with this girl? She's being so rude. Must be one of the ones who bought a ticket. So timid. She clearly doesn't belong here. As everyone chattered, Yamada himself walked off the stage. Lin had no choice but to go up with him. Yamada picked up a wig from a table. In your Sichuan province, there is a very impressive skill called face changing. With this wig on, anyone can learn to change their face. Yamada lifted the wig to place it on Lin's head, but in the next second, something unexpected happened. 4. A scorpion suddenly leaped out of Lin's braid. It brandished its 2 large pincers and clamped down on the wig. Instantly, a pale young woman's face emerged from under the hair. She opened a blood-red mouth and shot out a scarlet tongue, trying to snatch the scorpion. The scorpion dodged to the side and crawled onto the woman's nose. The tongue continued to attack the scorpion. The two went back and forth, putting on quite a show. The audience, not knowing what was really happening, applauded enthusiastically. Brilliant! What a brilliant magic trick! I stared at the stage, my brow furrowed. What a vicious Onmyoji, raising a hair demon. A hair demon has no body, only a long mane of hair. Whenever it sees a beautiful girl, it desires to take her face. That's why countless young girls' faces were hidden beneath that long hair. It usually looked like an exquisite wig, but any girl who wore it would have her face peeled off alive, dying a gruesome death. The hair demon had set its sights on Lin, signaling Yamada to call her on stage. If Lin had been an ordinary person, she would already be dead. I clenched my fists, seething with anger. How dare it? Why didn't it choose me? Such poor taste was unforgivable. On stage, the scorpion and the hair demon were evenly matched. Suddenly, another face, heavily made up, appeared next to the first one. The new face's long tongue shot out, about to swallow the scorpion. But Lin was faster. She grabbed the scarlet tongue and snatched her scorpion back. A very impressive trick, Mr. Yamada. Before Yamada could react, Lin jumped off the stage. The audience erupted in thunderous applause. Yamada stood on stage, looking at us with a meaningful expression. Lin opened her palm to show me. From grabbing the hair demon's tongue, a faint black mark was left on her fair skin. Quinn, that wig has a very strong malevolent energy. I know. It's a hair demon. That thing is a face collector. The more people it kills, the stronger it gets. After collecting 100 faces, it even evolves. We need to find a chance to deal with it tonight. 5. Thank you to the lady for her cooperation. Next up is a special performance dedicated to Miss Q. I have been preparing this gift for a year. Please welcome Miss Q to the stage. Yamada made an inviting gesture. The audience erupted, everyone clapping excitedly. Soda, next to me, stood on his tiptoes looking around. Oh my God, the mysterious Miss Q is finally going to appear. The audience began to buzz with excitement. I heard she refused the invitation for 3 years straight and only agreed to come on this cruise this year. I came just for her. I really want to see who this mysterious woman is. Rumor has it she's from the wealthy Song family. Impossible. The Song family's cash flow isn't that great. They don't have that kind of money. As everyone debated, Lynn looked at me curiously. Who's Miss Q? TSK, you don't even know who Miss Q is? What are you even doing on this ship? Exactly. If you're here to find a rich husband, at least try to hide it. Acting ignorant isn't cute, it's disgusting. A few women in the front row turned around and shot us a harsh glare. Even Soda looked at Lynn with a hint of disdain and edged away from her. Miss Q is the person who has donated the most to the Summit Foundation in recent years. In just 3 years, she has donated over $500 million in cash. You know, most wealthy donors use contributions for tax write-offs, but Miss Q is different. She just gives cash, doesn't even leave a name, and never does any media publicity. Only the inner circle of the Summit Foundation knows about her. Such integrity is truly admirable, right? A lot of rich people have their own charity foundations, which they use for money laundering while pretending to do good. Someone like her, who entrusts all the funds to the foundation without seeking any personal benefit, is incredibly rare. Yeah, I wonder which prominent family she belongs to. I'd love to meet her. 6. As everyone sang Miss Q's praises, I uncomfortably brushed back my bangs, trying to hide my accomplishment. Hey, it's not that big a deal. She's just a normal person. A normal person. A girl in the front row couldn't take it anymore and shrieked. You call someone who donates $500 million a normal person? Then what does that make you? Exactly. Forget $500 million. You probably couldn't even come up with $50,000. Look at the bag you're carrying. TSK, is it even worth $50? Just as I was about to speak, Lynn held me back. Nope. Her bag cost $28. I even helped her get a coupon on Temu. Everyone froze for a second. Lynn then pinched the hem of my t-shirt. Shirt $69. Sweatpants $39. The shoes are the most expensive part, $108. Her entire outfit costs less than $300. Compared to you all, she is indeed a normal person. Because she is saving her money for more important things. The crowd was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. Hahaha, what more important things? Did she spend all her money on the cruise ticket? Yeah, looking that shabby and she still thinks she can land a rich husband? Exactly. Did you see her eating the caviar earlier? She scooped up a huge spoonful, swallowed it in one go, and then immediately spat it out. It was hilarious. Amid the jeers, Lynn's eyes turned red. She squeezed my hand tightly. Yes, she has never had caviar before. She rarely even eats meat. In the college cafeteria, she only ever gets the $2 vegetable dish. But so what? Doesn't she deserve to have dreams? Huh. I get 2 meat dishes with every meal. Lynn was getting more and more ridiculous. What dreams? The dream of being a gold digger and landing a rich husband? Seriously, how did someone like her get on board? Can the foundation please stop selling tickets next year? I can't stand this. Amid the mocking laughter, a white-haired old man with a cane finally made his way through the crowd, walking unsteadily toward us. All of you be quiet. 7. It's Chairman Joe from the Summit Foundation. Yes, it's Mr. Joe. With his personality, he definitely can't stand this either. Is he going to throw these 2 gold diggers off the ship? Lisa, what are you talking about? We're on a cruise ship. Throw them into the sea. I can have my dad send a helicopter to pick me up. I'll pay for it. I don't want to be in the same place as people like this. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, Mr. Zhou grabbed my hand, his eyes red and his face full of shame. Master Qiao, I'm so sorry. You've been wronged. He led me onto the stage. A spotlight fell on us, and Mr. Zhou raised my hand high. Let me introduce you all. Her name is Quinn, and on every donation check she gives me, there is only one signature Q. That's right, she is Miss Q. Everyone was stunned. The entire hall fell so silent you could hear a pin drop. After a long moment, Lynn let out a deep sigh. Sigh Quinn, I told you to be kinder to yourself, but you just wouldn't listen. Oh well, being misunderstood and ridiculed is your destiny. I understand. The next second, the entire place erupted. Oh my god. She's Miss Q. But her bag only costs $20-something. So she donates all her money to charity? Yeah, and she doesn't even eat meat. Really, I'm crying. How can such a noble person exist in this world? Lisa, who had been mocking me earlier, beat her chest and slapped herself twice. What was I doing? I actually made fun of her for not knowing how to eat caviar. Ugh, I'm the worst. Me too. She wore an outfit that cost less than $300 and donated $500 million. Yet I judged her by her appearance. I can't forgive myself. Listening to the chatter from below, I felt my skin crawl. This idiot Lynn had practically made me out to be a saint. These people were all my potential clients. How was I ever going to ask them for money now? I never thought Miss Q would be so young. Yamada clapped his hands, then pulled out a dark clay pot and opened the lid with a sinister grin. Well then, Miss Quinn, please enjoy the special gift I've prepared for you. Looking at what came out of the pot, I gasped. 8. Thick smoke billowed out of the clay pot, and countless ghostly heads emerged, flying around above the stage in a dense, dark cloud. After the smoke cleared, the last thing to emerge from the pot was a large tree. The tree was covered in human heads, as well as those of cats, dogs, and other wild animals. The largest head had no features, just a massive mouth full of sharp teeth. Yamada threw his hands up and laughed maniacally. I know the net worth of everyone on this ship, except for you, Miss Q. How much is your life worth? If you can donate $500 million, then spending another $300 million to save your own life seems like a pretty good deal, right? Yamada clapped his hands, and 2 men in black walked out from behind the stage, carrying a laptop, which they placed on a table. Walter Wong. After Yamada called the name, a long-haired female ghost suddenly shot out from the black smoke above. The ghost flew into the audience, grabbed a middle-aged man, and threw him onto the stage. Yamada turned to me with a smile. Miss Q, let me give you a demonstration. Mr. Wong, transfer $10 million to this offshore account, and you can go back to your room and rest. Walter Wong, who had been thrown to the ground, looked up in terror at the female ghost. This isn't a magic trick? This is real. It's real? Ghosts. Ghosts. He pushed himself up and scrambled to his feet, trying to run away. But after just a few steps, the female ghost caught up to him and tore him in half. Blood splattered everywhere. The ghost tossed one half of the body towards the tree, and the heads on the tree fought over the corpse. The ghost let out a chilling cackle and threw the other half of the body into the audience. Screams nearly tore the roof off. Everyone looked terrified and tried to flee, but there seemed to be an invisible barrier around the ballroom. They could only run in circles, unable to get out. Yamada laughed triumphantly. The parade of 100 demons, a sight not everyone gets to see. So Miss Q, what do you think of my gift? Isn't it great? Now please transfer. Before Yamada could finish, I had already strode forward and given him 2 hard slaps across the face. Parade your ass. In Chinese territory, foreign spirits are forbidden. 9. I was furious. At first, I thought he was just some down on his luck on Myoji, who had to resort to using ghosts for magic tricks to make a living. But it turned out this little guy had huge ambitions. He wanted to extort everyone on the ship. $10 million from just one person. The last job I did in England, I worked my butt off and only made $100,000. This was infuriating. Thinking about it made me even angrier, so I slapped him a few more times. Extort me. $300 million. Do I look like I have $300 million? After a few slaps, Yamada was stunned. You idiot. Yamada jumped up in a rage. Chinese territory? This is international waters. We've already passed the Strait of Malacca. Fudakuchiana, teach her a lesson. Her left hand is useless. Just leave her right hand so she can type in the account number. Only after Yamada spoke did I realize that the long-haired female ghost from earlier was the Fudakuchi Ana, one of the most powerful demons in the parade. A Fudakuchi Ana looks like a normal young woman, but she has a giant mouth on the back of her neck, usually hidden by her long hair. When she attacks, her hair acts like tentacles, grabbing living things and stuffing them directly into the mouth. The Fudakuchi Ana flew above my head. I leaped up, a talisman between my fingers, and slapped her twice. The talisman ignited, and the Fudakuchi Ana's hair caught fire. The audience below had stopped running. Look. Miss Q slapped her so hard she caught on fire. I heard the chairman call her Master Chiao earlier. Is she some kind of master? No, I heard that people with great merit are protected from ghosts. Oh, she must have done so many good deeds. She is so great. Go Master Chiao. The Fudakuchi Ana wasn't that easy to deal with. She quickly whipped her hair against the ground, extinguishing the flames. Clearly enraged, she shrieked and lunged at me. I held a string of 5 emperor coins in one hand and flung a few at her face, then took a running start and leaped off the stage. This little Japanese punk had secretly set up a ghost trapping formation in the ballroom, trapping everyone inside. The ghosts he kept here would have their malevolent energy amplified. I needed to break the formation now so everyone could escape. Only then could I fight him without holding back. 10. I glanced at the thick malevolent energy above the stage, did a quick calculation, and pulled out my peachwood sword. With one strike, I cut down a huge potted plant in the northwest corner. Bright red blood flowed from the plant, and the fog on the stage visibly thinned. Lin, get them out of here. I'll stay and deal with him. Got it. Lin raised her arm. Everyone follow me. We'll get out this way and find a place to hide on the ship. I'm not leaving. Lisa, the girl who had mocked me the most, suddenly rushed forward, slid to her knees and hugged my leg. Master Chiao, I know you're trying to sacrifice yourself to save us. We're not worth it. Oh, you're so noble. And I misunderstood you earlier. I'm such a terrible person. Before I could say anything, a dark shadow passed over me. The Fudakuchi Ana lunged again. I did a somersault on the ground, but Lisa was clinging to my legs so tightly that we both went down together. The Fudakuchi Ana landed on top of Lisa. Lisa tried to push her away, but as soon as she touched the ghost's back, she saw the hair on the back of its head part, revealing a massive, blood-red mouth that covered its entire neck. Lisa let out a piercing scream. I thrust my peachwood sword into the Fudakuchi Ana's mouth to prop it open, then kicked Lisa away. Stop getting in the way. Get out of here. Wah. Lisa tearfully got to her feet. Lin glared at her impatiently. Are you going or not? I won't have time to save you later. Lisa looked back at me reluctantly. Ugh, she is so fierce. I love it so much. 11. Watching Lin lead everyone away, Yamada was about to lose his mind. You idiot. You arrogant bitch. Tear her to pieces. Wait. She hasn't transferred the money yet. Leave her alive for now. Yamada waved his hand, and several other ghosts rushed toward me. These things had no sense of honor. They were ganging up on me. The Fudakuchi Ana attacked from the front, while the hair demon shrieked beside me. Dozens of faces with different expressions flashing under its hair, making me dizzy. I was getting fired up. With a peachwood sword in one hand and a 7-star sword in the other, I swung wildly, slicing off all the faces on the hair demon. Most of Japan's 100 demons were only as powerful as common malevolent ghosts in China. A few of the stronger ones, like the human-faced tree and the hair demon, were on the level of vengeful spirits, but they weren't particularly hard to deal with. After a short fight, the Fudakuchi Ana's form began to flicker and fade, its malevolent energy weakening. Human-faced tree. Gibberish, gibberish, gibberish. Seeing that things weren't going his way, Yamada chanted a long string of incantations. The human-faced tree on the stage immediately shot out countless branches and vines toward me. Bring it on. I did a backflip to dodge the vines and held a lightning-struck wood tablet in my palm. The human-faced tree wasn't actually a ghost, it was a rare type of nature spirit. Ancient texts distinguish between different supernatural beings. Man-made creations are demons, sentient objects are spirits, and lingering human souls are ghosts. Bizarre occurrences are monsters, malevolent deities are evil, and human madness is demonic. The human-faced tree's true form was a sentient camphor tree. A young woman had hanged herself from its branches, and her lingering soul had manifested as a head on the tree. Her malevolent energy had corrupted the tree, attracting more people to hang themselves there, thus creating the human-faced tree. It was something of a hybrid between a spirit and a ghost. But no matter what it was, since its true form was a tree, fire was its natural enemy, and lightning fire was its ultimate weakness. Command of the five thunders. A thumb-thick bolt of lightning flashed. The human-faced tree's vines caught fire, and the flames spread rapidly, racing up to the tree itself. The heads on the tree all let out horrific, blood-curdling screams. "You idiot!" Seeing his human-faced tree about to be burned to a crisp, Yamada went ballistic. "Don't spare her. Kill her, kill her." Yamada shook a small bell, and the ghosts above swarmed toward me. These were low-level wandering souls, the weakest of the 100 demons. Individually, they were easy to deal with, but there were so many of them, and they came at me in a dense, dark cloud, which was troublesome. Fortunately, I still had a few fire god talismans. They weren't expensive or particularly powerful, but they were perfect for dealing with swarms of these minor ghosts. Disciple calls upon the divine presence. All beings revere the fire god. May the surrounding demons be turned to dust. I held a talisman between my fingers and flicked my wrist. It burst into flames, the fire growing larger. I tossed the talisman into the air, and the dark cloud of spirits was instantly incinerated, the few remaining ones scattering in terror. 12. "You idiot!" Yamada shrieked, grit his teeth, and opened another clay pot. But when the lid came off, nothing emerged. I sneered. "You call this the parade of 100 demons? Besides that swarm of souls, you don't have any heavy hitters?" Yamada stomped his foot in frustration, muttering a string of gibberish into the pot, but it remained still. Just then, the Futokuchi Ana tried to sneak up on me from behind. I spun around and slashed it across the neck with my sword. It let out a piercing shriek, and its form dissipated into thin air. Yamada grew even more frantic. He pulled an incense burner from under the table, lit 3 sticks of blood-red incense, and stuck them in. As the smoke curled upwards, a thick, metallic smell of blood filled the entire cabin. Suddenly, a swarm of skulls floated out of the clay pot. Judging by their malevolent energy, they were much stronger than the previous souls. All the ghosts were drawn to the incense, rushing toward it. The 100 demons fought over the smoke, their faces showing looks of pure ecstasy. I sniffed the air and was shocked. "Are you insane? Is that blood sandalwood?" Incense can reach the 10 directions of the infinite world, connecting the 3 realms. It can be offered to gods above and ghosts below. Powerful ghosts love to consume the ashes of incense. For example, soul-guiding incense, made from agarwood, sandalwood, pine resin, frankincense, cloves, costus root, and patchouli, costs thousands for a single stick, and is highly nourishing for wandering souls. But there is another kind of incense used exclusively by evil cultivators, blood sandalwood. It's made by adding the blood of 100 infants to sandalwood. The so-called blood of 100 infants is refined from 100 full-moon-old babies. When ghosts consume this incense, their malevolent energy skyrockets. They fall into a frenzy, and they will tear apart any living thing they see. These 100 demons, being controlled by an onmyoji, were different from ordinary ghosts. They had some intelligence. But now that Yamada had fed them blood sandalwood, they were out of control, rampaging through the cruise ship, heading for every corner. This was going to turn into a bloodbath. 13. Yamada spread his arms wide and laughed maniacally. "The parade of 100 demons. No one will leave here alive. Ha 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 ha." I looked at him in disbelief. "Are you crazy? I thought you wanted money. If you kill everyone, who are you going to extort?" Yamada didn't answer. He was foaming at the mouth, his limbs convulsing. The human-faced tree extended countless vines, wrapping him up into a ball. Soon the vines receded. The human-faced tree had grown 4 limbs, and on its trunk was Yamada's grotesque face. What the hell? I looked on in disgust. That lunatic Yamada had merged himself with the human-faced tree? Night falls, the 100 demons walk, bones bleach under the moon, blood flows like a waterfall. Yamada hummed a bizarre tune as he moved his limbs, as if he were dancing. The glass doors to the balcony were wide open. A damp sea breeze blew in, and the heads on the human-faced tree swayed back and forth, like ripe fruit on a branch, ready to fall. Yamada reached out, plucked a head from the tree, and stuffed it into his mouth, chewing loudly, his eyes fixed on me. I felt a chill run down my spine and raised my hand. Command of the five thunders. A bolt of lightning flashed. I saw a dark shadow flicker before my eyes. And when I looked again, Yamada was gone from the ballroom. The ballroom was on the top deck of the cruise ship. Beyond the glass doors was a spacious deck with a huge swimming pool several tens of meters long. The pool area, which was usually lit, was now pitch black for some reason. I held the lightning-struck wood tablet in my hand, walking forward while scanning my surroundings for the human-faced tree. After a few steps, I sensed a white shadow flash across the surface of the water. I turned to look, but there was nothing there. You coward, are you hiding in the pool? I tightened my grip on the tablet. Yamada wasn't he very bright? Water conducts electricity. Was he just waiting to be struck by lightning? As I stared at the pool, the eerie song suddenly started up behind me. I quickly turned around and saw Yamada standing on the deck railing, dancing stiffly. All the heads on the human-faced tree were looking up at the moon. Just as I was about to move forward, a hand suddenly shot out from behind me, grabbed my pant leg, and dragged me into the pool. 14. Caught off guard, I flailed my arms in the air, and my tablet and sword fell to the ground. An icy coldness seeped into my body through my pores. I thrashed my arms and kicked my legs, trying to get to the surface. But as soon as my hand broke the water, I felt something solid. There was a layer of glass over the pool. In my shock, I used up my oxygen even faster. My lungs felt like they were about to explode. I opened my eyes underwater and looked around. It was pitch black, and I couldn't see anything. Only from the northwest corner could I hear the faint sound of a baby crying. A baby crying? This must be a Kawa Akago. Legend has it that the Kawa Akago is a monster that lives by rivers and mountains. It mimics the sound of a crying baby to lure passers-by, who then fall into the bottomless swamps it creates. It covers the swamp with a lid, making escape impossible. With that in mind, I dove deeper. This was a deep water pool, normally only about 2 meters deep. But I swam down for a while and still couldn't touch the bottom. This was the Kawa Akago's bottomless swamp. Knowing what I was up against, I felt a little less panicked. The Kawa Akago, or river baby, is actually very weak. It looks like a turtle without a shell, with round eyes and a sharp beak. It tricks people into drowning, and only comes out to feed on them after they're dead. I thrashed around for a bit, pretending to be out of air. My body went limp, and I floated face down in the water. Just as I was about to pass out from lack of oxygen, my vision filled with stars, the Kawa Akago finally appeared. It started by tentatively nibbling on my finger. I held my breath and didn't move. Growing bolder, the Kawa Akago bit my arm. I quickly flexed my arm and trapped it in my embrace. As soon as I touched it, I knew something was wrong. It had no fur, and its skin was smooth and tight. With a slight struggle, it slipped out of my grasp. The Kawa Akago is naturally timid. Once it escaped, it wouldn't be back for a while. I was about to meet my end in this stupid swimming pool. At that thought, I got desperate and threw a hard punch in the direction it had slipped away. The punch hit its leg. The Kawa Akago let out a sharp, baby-like cry. Following the sound, I kicked my legs, shot forward, and grabbed it again. But the Kawa Akago was just too slippery. Its body was covered in a thin layer of mucus, like trying to hold onto a greased bar of soap. I couldn't get a grip. As it struggled and was about to slip away again, I threw caution to the wind, lowered my head, and bit down hard on its smooth skin. Ugh! A strong foul stench, like a 3-month-old dead rat, hit me, and I almost threw up. I fought back the nausea, my teeth clamped onto its leg, one hand holding it tight, the other clenched into a fist, and I started pummeling it. After a few hard punches, the foul taste in my mouth grew stronger. Finally, the Kawa Akago let out an extremely shrill cry. The part one was biting burst in my mouth, its flesh exploding and spraying all over my face and into my mouth. Gag-ugh! I surfaced, gasping for air. With every breath, I inhaled a horrendous stench. It was sheer torture. I couldn't hold it in any longer and threw up in the pool. The vomit floated around me, making everything even more disgusting. 15. It took me a while to clean myself up. I crawled out of the pool, breathing heavily. The human-faced tree was long gone. I picked up my gear and ran back into the ship to find Lin. The 100 demons would head for crowded places. I didn't know if she could handle them. I sprinted down the corridor. In the distance, I could hear cries and screams. The top deck of the cruise ship was half deck and pool, and the other half was a large casino and 2 ballrooms with stages. When I burst into the casino, I gasped. The floor was splattered with blood and littered with bodies. Lin was lying on the ground, a large gash on her neck. Her eyes were wide open, and she was struggling to breathe. Lin. I stumbled over to her and knelt down to hold her. Quinn. Lin clutched my arm, blood frothing from her mouth. Her lips moved, trying to say something. I leaned in, putting my ear close to her mouth. Out of my sight, Lin's fingernails grew longer. She slowly raised her hand and lunged for my back. But her hand froze in midair because I had plunged my peachwood sword into her neck. Lin has the golden cicada goo. She is not that easy to kill. I pulled the sword out of her neck. The body on the floor quickly turned into a dry tree branch. The scene around me shifted, and I found myself back on the deck. The human-faced tree was a master of illusions, and after merging with Yamada, its power had grown even stronger. I was getting anxious. I took out a bottle of yin-yang water from my bag and smeared it on my eyelids. Yin-yang water can break through illusions. I couldn't afford to be trapped in another one and waste any more time. I quickened my pace and ran toward the casino. Luckily, there were no more incidents along the way. I burst into the casino, kicking the door open. 16. The first thing I saw was the magnificent European-style carpet. But now, the carpet was covered in a thick layer of dead seabirds and splattered with blood. In the center of the room, everyone was huddled together in a tight circle, their faces filled with despair as they stared ahead. Lin stood in front of them, her hair a mess, golden blood trickling from her eyes and ears. Don't worry. Quinn will definitely find us. I was shocked. Lin, did you use your life-bound goo? Master Qiao is here. It's Miss Q. We're saved. We're saved. Sobbed Master Qiao, save us. The dead seabirds on the floor must have been summoned by Lin to protect everyone. Her golden cicada goo could command all insects, but that was on land. Out here in the middle of the ocean, there wasn't a single insect to be found. Lin must have expended a lot of energy to control these birds. Seeing me, Lin's body went limp, and she collapsed. The human-faced tree extended its vines toward her. I rushed over and sliced the vines with my sword. This peachwood sword was made from a 1,000-year-old lightning-struck tree, so it was naturally effective against wood-based spirits. The human-faced tree retreated. I took the opportunity to turn around and touch Lin's face. Lin shook her head, her face pale. I'm fine, don't worry. I wiped the golden blood from under her eyes and ears onto my peachwood sword. Not wanting to waste any, I pressed the sword against her face and rubbed it. This is the blood of the golden cicada goo. We can't let it go to waste. Lin. 17. After smearing the blood, the human-faced tree attacked me again. I turned and swung my sword. A golden light flashed, and I sliced off a thick branch from the tree. While the blood of the golden cicada goo was truly powerful, I stood there stunned, as a collective gasp came from behind me. Oh my God! Is that the aura of merit Lin was talking about? That is amazing. So doing good deeds really does help. Aura of merit? I turned and glanced at Lin. She winked at me. I instantly understood. When the other demons attacked, I fought them off for a bit, then pretended to be overwhelmed. I clutched my chest and fell to my knees looking weak. What is happening? Why is Master Qiao losing? Lin looked solemn. Quinn just fought 100 demons on the other side. Her protective aura of merit is almost depleted. Then what do we do? She can't lose. If she loses, we're all doomed. Is it too late to add to her merit? How? Even if we transfer money to her right now, she can't donate it immediately. Well, maybe it's possible. Quinn has sworn that as long as she is alive, almost all the money in her account will be used for charity. So as long as the money goes into her account, it should increase her merit. Lisa said urgently, whatever, it's worth a shot. The lives of everyone on this ship depend on her. Master Hua, do you know her account number? Lin took out her phone and showed the bank details to Lisa. Soon, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. I rolled on the ground to dodge a vine, then pulled out my phone. Incoming transfer of $1 million. New balance. $1,013,000. 1,100,000. I was filled with power. I let out a roar and, with one swing of my sword, cut off another branch from the human face tree. It's working. Everyone transfer money to Master Chiao. 18. After that, the phone in my pocket wouldn't stop vibrating. I felt like I was being electrocuted. My eyes were wide, I was full of energy, and I took down a demon with every swing. Lynn rolled her eyes from the side. Quinn, is your phone short-circuiting? Your hair is practically standing on end. He. I was too excited to form words. I swung my peachwood sword like a pinwheel, eager to finish off these ghosts, so I could count the digits in my bank account. How many zeros would there be? I couldn't even imagine. The ghosts on the field were almost all gone, and the human face tree was nearly bare. Just as I mustered all my strength for a final blow, Yamada slipped out from inside the tree. The human-faced tree collapsed with a crash. Yamada, looking disheveled, stumbled toward the deck. I quickly chased after him. Yamada leaned against the railing. He glanced at the dark sea, then suddenly smiled and gave me a thumbs up. Chinese Taoist arts are truly impressive. I am honored to have been defeated by you. How about this? We team up from now on, and we split the profits 70-30, you getting the 70. What do you say? In your dreams. I rolled my eyes, tightened my grip on my sword, and walked toward him. Soon I stopped in my tracks. My heart pounded in my chest. I swallowed nervously and slowly started to back away. You've changed your mind. Who would say no to money, ah? Before Yamada could finish, a giant tentacle shot out from behind him. At the tip of the tentacle was a black hole that sucked Yamada right in. The hole was only the size of a bowl, smaller than Yamada's head, but his body was squeezed and flattened by the Rudong ing flesh around the hole. The next second, his entire body was sucked in, limbs and entrails flying everywhere. Thwack! The tentacle slammed back into the sea, creating a massive wave. The ship shook violently, and I was thrown off my feet, sent flying outward. 19. At the last second, I managed to grab onto the railing, half my body dangling over the side of the ship. Inside, people were thrown around. Lynn frantically called my name. Quinn. I'm here. Lynn, get everyone inside the ship. Don't come out. I flipped myself back over the railing, my legs weak, and ran for the cabin door. A curious passenger peeked out. Master Chiao, what happened? Didn't you kill that Japanese guy? Yeah, what was that noise just now? Was it a whale? Everyone was chattering, a sense of relief on their faces after surviving the ordeal. But that relief quickly turned to terror. Everyone's jaws dropped as they stared in disbelief behind me. Oh my God! What is that? Is that an octopus? Could it be the legendary giant squid? But squid tentacles don't look like that. Why does it have a black hole? I froze. The deck lights were on, and in the reflection of the glass doors, I could see a long, dark shadow beside me. I had studied astrology since I was a child and had read all sorts of books. I knew a little about Japan's 100 demons, even foreign vampires and various types of evil spirits. But there was no record of a sea monster like this. And when it ate Yamada just now, it didn't have any malevolent energy. So it was most likely just a mysterious sea creature. I could exorcise demons and ghosts, but my skills were completely useless against this thing. The tentacle got closer. I could feel a suction force, and the air smelled of foul sea wind. 20. I took a deep breath and pulled out a few fire god talismans from my pocket, holding them tight. In the reflection, the tentacle suddenly swooped down, aiming for my back. I dodged to the side. Before I could even raise my hand, a powerful suction force pulled my entire arm in. All beings revere the fire god. I quickly chanted the incantation. The talismans in my hand burst into a large ball of fire. The tentacle flinched and spat my arm out. I took the opportunity to scramble back into the cabin. Everyone run. These flimsy glass doors wouldn't stand a chance against the tentacle's attack. Everyone screamed and scattered. I didn't have time to worry about anyone else. I grabbed Lin and sprinted for the stairs. Master Chiao, wait for me. Lisa and Soda followed close behind. The cruise ship was 16 stories high. The guests at the banquet were all staying in luxury ocean view rooms with balconies. The inner cabins, many of which had no windows, were actually safer. We ran down the spiral staircase to the 10th floor. Luckily, the tentacle didn't follow. I randomly opened a cabin door, and after everyone was inside, I locked it tight and gasped for breath. Lisa's face was pale, and she was covered in sweat. What on earth was that thing? I wiped the sweat from my brow. It looked like some kind of mutated giant squid. Lisa paused. Mutated? Do you think it has anything to do with Japan releasing that nuclear wastewater recently? The three of us turned to stare at Soda. He frantically waved his hands. It has nothing to do with me. I'm a good citizen. Sir. No, I'm Chinese. I'm not Japanese. Soda pulled his ID out of his wallet to show us. My name is Alex Zhang. I was studying abroad in Japan. I didn't immigrate, I'm still a Chinese citizen. Traitor. The three of us spat at him in unison. 21. Quinn, I think this thing might have something to do with me, Lin said with a wry smile. I used my life-bound goo to summon the beasts earlier. I might have disturbed it. Lin's golden cicada, goo could command all insects using a special sound wave, which also affected other animals. And since we were in the middle of the ocean, it was easy to disturb a giant sea creature. There's no point in blaming anyone now. We need to figure out how to get rid of it. I sighed and paced around the room. The largest giant squid on record was 40 meters long. This one was a mutant. If it went berserk and sank the ship, everyone would die. When a large cruise ship like this sinks, it creates a massive vortex on the surface of the water. No one would survive. Sound waves? Lisa's eyes lit up. If it was attracted by sound waves, can we use sound waves to drive it away? Advanced luxury cruise ships usually have sonar equipment to repel schools of fish. As soon as she finished speaking, the bottom of the ship shook violently. The four of us were thrown around the cabin. I grabbed onto the bed frame to steady myself. That makes sense. Where is this sonar thing? In the cockpit at the bow of the ship, on the 3rd floor. Alright, you all stay here. I'll go to the 3rd floor and check it out. I started to go through my bag, getting rid of anything unnecessary. But when I opened it, I found it was empty. Crap. Where's my peachwood sword? And my tablet and formation flags? Lisa panicked. Your magical tools? Did you drop them earlier? Ahem. Quinn, look over there. Lin coughed. I turned and saw a suspicious bulge on Soda's chest, clearly the shape of a wooden sword. Right. This damn traitor had been possessed by a hyakum and now had a stealing problem. Luckily, I noticed it now. If I had gone out and only realized my things were missing later, I would have been walking into a death trap. I was instantly furious and gave Soda a sound beating. 22. Help. I really didn't mean to steal your stuff. Wah. The three of us kicked and punched Soda as he cowered in the corner, crying. I had Lisa draw me a picture of the sonar equipment, then gave everything else to Lin for safekeeping. I took only a dagger and a stack of talismans and headed out. The monster was still slapping the water, creating huge waves. The corridor was already flooding. I went down the stairs, level by level. When I got to the 4th floor, I stopped. There was a severed arm on the stairs, and the walls were splattered with blood. I gripped my dagger and tiptoed down to the 3rd floor cockpit. When I got there, I gasped. The cockpit door was wide open, and a tentacle was writhing just inside. Through the door and past the control panel was a large, open deck, where several even larger and thicker tentacles were thrashing about. Fortunately, the sonar panel wasn't far from the door. I quickly calculated the time. I couldn't fight all these tentacles. My only chance was to take out the one by the door immediately and activate the sonar before the others could react. With that, I didn't hesitate. I backed up a few steps and sprinted for the door. As expected, the tentacle reacted immediately, rising up, its black hole aimed at my head. I slid under it on my knees, simultaneously raising my arm and plunging the dagger deep into its flesh. My movements were flawless, and the sonar panel was right in front of me. I was about to lunge for the button when another tentacle shot out from a corner of the room. There were 2 tentacles in the cockpit. One had been in my blind spot, completely invisible from the corridor. I cursed under my breath and rolled to the side, dodging the attack. But a sharp pain shot through my leg. I looked down and saw that the tentacle from the door had opened its dark suction cup and swallowed my lower leg. At the same time, the other tentacle, which had been whipping toward me, missed me as I rolled and hit the sonar equipment instead. The entire machine shattered into pieces. I was stunned. 23. In that moment of shock, the second tentacle lunged at me again. I reached for my fire god talismans, but before I could get my hand into my pocket, a suction cup latched onto my arm. I was being pulled apart by two tentacles, one in front and one behind. A searing pain shot through my waist, and I felt like my body was about to be torn in two. I couldn't form a hand seal, and my lightning-struck wood tablet had fallen on the floor when I rolled. I had faced many dangers in my life, but I had never felt so close to death. But in moments like these, my mind becomes strangely calm. I looked at the giant tentacles on the deck, and another divine incantation suddenly came to mind. The Taoist mantra to pacify the earth god. The gods of the mountains, rivers, and lakes, the divine dragons and earth spirits, must not be disturbed. Some river and mountain gods are ancient animals that have cultivated for centuries. Could this giant sea monster be like a river god, halfway to becoming a sea god? Lin had disturbed it. If I tried to pacify it, would it go away? Primeval stillness, a proclamation to all spirits, true officers of the sacred peaks and rivers, spirits of the earth, left and right altars of the land, be not disturbed. Return to the righteous path. May all within and without be purified. I bit my tongue and, using my blood as an offering, loudly chanted the mantra. As soon as I finished, I felt the tentacle above me loosen its grip. My heart leaped with joy, and I chanted the mantra again and again as loud as I could. Slowly, the tentacle released my arm. I formed a seal for sending off deities and continued to chant. The tentacles on the deck slowly writhed, retreated from the deck, and disappeared from view. Boom! A massive wave crashed over the ship, and the tide washed me out of the cockpit and into the corridor. I collapsed on the floor, not wanting to move a single finger. Quinn, the monster is gone. Quinn. Lin's voice called out from a distance. I pushed myself up. I know. I'm here. 24. Lin carried me back to the cabin. I lay in bed for a whole day before the pain in my waist started to subside. I don't want to go to Egypt anymore. I'm so tired. I want to go home. My eyes were dull, and every bone in my body felt like it had been run over by a car. Lin chuckled and handed me her phone. I have a way to get your energy back. I'm so tired. Nothing can make me feel better. 1, 10, 100,000, 100,000. My eyes grew wider and wider. I did a kip up from the bed and started laughing hysterically, clutching the phone. This is nothing. I can take on 10 more of them. Egypt, here I come.